Good afternoon, everyone. We welcome you all to today's webinar conducted by Online Tax Update on topic GST Annual Return in Form GSTR-9 and Reconciliation Statement in Form GSTR-9C. So, the due date for filing of 9 and 9C for FY 22-23 is 31st of December 2023, and we have got only 4 days to file. So, let us quickly understand the GST provision applicable for 9 and 9C and the tables of 9 and 9C form and optional table in both these forms and the question and answer session. Let me share my screen. Section 44 of CGST Act provides for the provision or provides for the annual return and a self-certified reconciliation statement. So as per this section, every registered person has to file annual return and a self-certified reconciliation statement. There are few exceptions given to a certain person like input service distributor, a person paying tax under section 51 or 52, that is GST TDS and GST TCS, a casual taxable person and a non-resident taxable person. Rule 80 provides for the form in which the annual return has to be filed. And so Sub-Rule 1 provides for the Form 9 for regular taxpayer. And person paying tax under Section 10, that is composition dealer, has to file annual return in Form GSTR-9A. And for electronic commerce operator who are required to collect tax at source under Section 52, they are required to file annual return in Form 9B. Sub-Rule 3 provides for the reconciliation statement, self-certified reconciliation statement in Form 9C. So this is required to be filed a person whose aggregate turnover during the financial year exceeding 5 crore rupees. There is a notification 32 of 2023 Central Tax dated 31st of July 2023. This notification provides exemption to the registered person whose aggregate turnover in the financial year 22-23 is up to 2 crore rupees from filing of annual return. There is late fee for delay in filing of GSTR-9, and there has been late fee has been rationalized by notification 7 of 2023 Central Tax, which is effective from financial year 22-23. So the taxpayer having turnover up to 5 crore, 25 rupees per day under each CGST and SGST, that is 50 rupees. Only in total, the late fee will be levied. And the person whose aggregate turnover is 5 crore above, but below 20 crore, their late fees applicable 50 rupees per day under each CGST and SGST. So total 100 rupees per day is the late fees. And both these taxpayer, the maximum late fees can be levied is 0.02 under each CGST and SGST. So 0.04% of the turnover is the maximum limit of late fees. The person having tax aggregate turnover more than 20 crore is there 200 rupees per day is the late fees, and 0.50 of the turnover is the late fees maximum which can be levied. To sum up, the threshold limit is like this. The turnover, aggregate turnover, if it is up to 2 crore, then 9 and 9C both are exempted. If the turnover is more than 2 crore and up to 5 crore, then 9 is applicable, 9C is exempted. And turnover is if above 5 crore, both are applicable, 9 and 9C both are applicable. A reference to notification 32 is given, and Rule 80 is Sub-Rule 3. Section 2, Subsection 6 provides the definition of aggregate turnover. Aggregate turnover means the aggregate value of all the taxable supply, excluding value of inward supply on which tax is payable on reverse charge basis, exempt supply, export of goods or services or both, and interstate supply of person having the same permanent account number, that is PAN, computed on all India basis, excluding CGST, SGST, UTGST, and IGST. Time limit is then provided. This is a new section which is inserted, and it is applicable from 1st of October 2023, wherein 3-year time period has been given. So from the due date of filing an annual return, within 3 years only the 9 can be filed. Previously, this time limit was not there. Revised return, no, the GSTR 9 is an annual return which cannot be revised. Therefore, it is required that accurate value is reported into this form. A registered person has to be mindful in filing this return. Now we'll see the tables of GSTR 9. Up to table number 3, it is a basic information. Table 4 requires the detail of advances, inward and outward supply made during the financial year on which tax is payable. So this is taxable turnover has to be reported in table number 4. Table number 5 requires the detail of outward supply on which tax is not payable. like export exempted, nil rated, etc. Table 6 requires the detail of ITC, input tax credit, availed during the financial year. So this is availed during the financial year means as per return because only through preview the ITC can be availed. 4 and 5 which we have talked about that is made during the financial year, outward supplies. That is as per books. Table 7 are detail of ITC reversed and ineligible ITC for the financial year. Table 7 is also talks about the ITC which is reversed and then ineligible ITC for the financial year as per books and reversed as per preview. Table 8 requires the detail of other ITC related information. So it basically requires a reconciliation between the ITC populated into 8A, which is two-way detail is populated. So reconciliation between the auto-populated detail 8A and the ITC which is taken in return. Table 9 requires the detail of taxes which are paid through 3B and which are payable, and it is reference to table 4. So tax liability is payable is derived from table number 4 and paid is derived from the 3B. Table number 10, 11, 12 and 13 provides for the transaction for the financial year, but they are declared in the next financial year. So 10 and 11 provide for the outward supply, 12 and 13 is related to input tax credit. Table 15 requires the detail of demand and refund. 16 requires the information of inward supply received from composition taxpayer deemed to supply under 143, that is job worker, and goods sent on approval basis. So deemed supply under job worker and goods sent on approval basis. So there is a time limit of 180 days in which the goods has to be received back from job worker. Otherwise, it will be deemed supply. Same with the goods sent on approval basis. If that within time period goods is not received, it is considered as deemed supply. Those information is provided in table 16. Table 17 requires the HSNY summary of outward supply. 18 requires HSNY supply of inward supply. 19 requires the late fee payable and paid information. These were the table in GSTR 9. In 9C, again up to table 4, it is a basic information. Table 5 requires the reconciliation of turnover as per audited financial statement with the turnover declared in annual return, GSTR 9. Table 6 requires reason for unreconciled differences. The turnover which is declared in annual return 9 and the turnover which is declared in 5, which is as per books, the difference is there, reason wise has to be mentioned in table number 6. 7 is reconciliation of taxable turnover. So taxable turnover as per books and has to be provided here with reconciled with the taxable turnover shown in GSTR 9. 8 is the difference between the taxable turnover as per books and the return. 9 table requires the reconciliation of rate-wise liability and amount payable thereon. This table 9 is equivalent to the 9 of GSTR 9 where liability is mentioned. And any difference is there in the rate-wise liability in this table and the GSTR 9 liability has to be shown in the table 10. 11 required the additional amount payable but not paid due to the reason specified under table 6, 8 and 10. 6, 8 and 10 table we have already seen. So 6 is total turnover difference, 8 is taxable turnover difference, 10 and 10 is tax payable difference. So any additional payable amount has to be furnished in 11. 12 requires the reconciliation of net input tax credit. So this is derived from table number 6 and 7 there. And table 12 is actually input tax credit as per books and which is taken in the 3V. And 13 requires the difference between both. 14 is reconciliation of ITC declared in 9 with the ITC available on expense wise. In books of accounts, we have purchases, professional fees, and various other expenses. ITC, which have been taken, that has to be bifurcated expense-wise, and it has to be shown in table 14. 15 requires the unreconciled differences on ITC. Any difference arising out of 14, as per books of accounts, ITC and the ITC which is taken in 9, shown in 9, has to be mentioned. The difference has to be mentioned in table 15. Reason why. 16 is table tax payable on unreconciled differences due to the reason specified in 13 and 15 above. So these were the tables in GST 9. Now we'll see the optional table in table 9 in Form 9. Table 5 requires the information of outward supply on which tax is not payable. So D, E, and F. D and E requires exempted turnover and nil rated turnover, and F requires non-GST supply. Here it is given an option. Either we can report exempted and nil rated as separately, or we can club together and show as an exempted supply. But non-GST supply has to be shown separately. Table 5 again requires the credit note, debit note amendment and amendment upward or downward revision in H, I, J, and K. So we can either show it separately or we can net it off in 5A to F and we can show like this. So either we can show it separately, credit note, debit note amendment, or we can net it off in 5A to F and furnish it. Table number 6 requires the detail of ITC availed during the financial year. This ITC has to be bifurcated into input services, capital goods. Here it is given an option where either we can show input and input services separately or club it together and show as an input. But capital goods has to be shown separately. Table 7 requires the ITC reverse and ineligible ITC for the financial year. Here there is the reversal is required to be reported rule wise. Rule 37, Rule 39, Rule 40 to 43, 17.5, etc. So either we can show rule-wise ITC reversal or we can club 7A to 7E and show it in 7H, other reversal. This option we have given, it has been given. But reversal on account of Tran 1 credit and Tran 2 credit has to be shown separately. Table 12 requires the detail of reversal of ITC availed during the financial year 22-23, but it is reversed in 23-24. So that has to be mentioned here. Table 13 requires the availment of ITC of 22-23 in 23-24. Table 15 requires the aggregate value of refund, claim, sanction, rejected and pending information. It is also optional. Table 15 again requires aggregate value of demand of taxes. This also is optional table. 16 is also an optional which requires the inward supply received from composition taxpayer deemed supply under section 143 as a job worker, goods and on approval basis. 18 is also an optional which is an HSN wise summary of inward supplies. These were the optional table in GST 9. Now the optional table in 9C. In 5B, the unbilled revenue at the beginning of the financial year has to be given in table 5. So either we can show it here in 5B or we can show it in 5O, that is adjustment in turnover due to reason not listed above. 14 is also an optional which requires the ITC availed into expense wise bifurcation. It is also an optional table. Source of information. So 9 and 9C, what is the source of information? So ideally, GSTR 1, 3B and books of accounts should be synchronized, but due to some certain reason, there can be differences in GSTR 1 and 3B. Any tax which was not paid due to any reason, it is found out during this audit time, filing this audit time, we can add it and any additional demand, tax or other liability which is arrived to be paid. It can be paid through DRC 03. And during this annual return, if it is found that excess tax has been paid, then it can be claimed as a refund through Form GST RFD 01. To sum it up, the source of information is as follows. Following are the register, there is outward supply, export, advance, register, import register, reverse charge, inward register, stock register, GSTR 1 and 3B, financial statement, trial balance, and tax audit report. GSTR 3B, this is the format of GSTR 3B. Table 4A requires the ITC availed on import of goods, import of service, RCM, inward supply from ISD, all other ITC. 4B, it requires reversal. 4B1 is permanent reversal under Rule 42, 43, 38, and 17.5. B2 requires the temporary reversal. C is the net ITC available, which reflects into electronic credit ledger. D is a disclosure. D1 is a reclaim of temporary reversal. And D2 is the ineligible ITC due to time bar, that is section 4, and place of supply. Table 4A is the source of information to furnish in table 6. 4B is the source of information to furnish table 7 of GSTR 9. These are the tables which are interlinked with the 9 and 9C. 5 and 10 and 11 of 9 is interlinked with 5Q of GSTR 9C. 4n minus 4g plus 10 minus 11 is interlinked with 7f of 9c. 9 plus 10 minus 11 is linked with 9q. 8c and 13 of 9 is linked with 12c of 9c. 7j is linked with 12e of the 9c. There are two methods of filing 9 and 9c. That is offline method in gst.gov.in. In the download section, the tools is available, offline tool 9 and 9c, which we can use to file the return. An online method, log in to the gst.gov.in, and then there are in the annual return there are tabs: table 4, table 5, 6, 7, 8. Click on each of the tab and fill up the information and submit the return. Then we will come to the question and answer session. This is the a question which are generally asked. So every question which is commonly asked has been listed down here. I'll read out one by one. Question 1, whether SEZ unit and SEZ developer need to file annual return in Form 9. Yes, annual return is applicable for SEZ unit and SEZ developer. They have to file it. Second question, in GSTR-9, can additional liability not reported earlier in Form 3 can be declared? Answer is yes. Additional liability can be reported, and the additional liability which is declared has to be paid through DRC 03. Third question, where will the ITC reversal under column 4B2 of GSTR 3B be shown in annual return of 22-23? It will be shown in table 7. Fourth question, whether HSN at 4-digit level or 6-digit level to be reported in table 17 of 9. So there is a turnover criteria. A registered person having turnover up to 5 crore is required to report HSN at 4-digit level, and those having turnover more than 5 crore at 6-digit level. Fifth, in table 5 of GST 9C, where to furnish the turnover of other states. As per instruction given in GST 9C form, registered person having multiple GSTNs for same and have to derive the turnover from annual financial statement, which includes reference to books of account. So if it is one GSTN, then annual financial statement figure. If it is multiple GSTN, then books of account has to be referred to derive the turnover GSTN wise. Sixth, which ITC to be furnished in table 6H of 9? ITC which was claimed and reversed in 21-22 due to reasons like non-payment to supplier within 180 days. And when the payment is made during 22-23, it becomes eligible to reclaim the same. Such reclaim of ITC is to be reported in 6H. Seventh, rent received from residential property given to an individual. It is an exempt supply, and it is to be furnished in table 5D of GSTR 9. In the RCM notification, it is given service by way of renting of a residential dwelling to a registered person by any person is taxable under RCM. So in this question, residential property is given to an individual. So it is an exempt, and 5D, it has to be furnished in 5D of 9. Eighth, where to show interest on FD. As per notification 12 of 2017, it is an exempt supply. So table 5D of GST 9 to be referred. In that 5D, it has to be mentioned. Ninth, where to show sale of share and sale of land. As per definition of exempt supply given under section 247, exempt supply includes nil rate of tax, and it also includes non-taxable supply. So this transaction has to be shown in non-GST supply in F. What is non-GST supply? It is not defined, as I said, but non-taxable supply has been defined in section 2 or subsection 78. It is a exempt turnover is very important for the reversal of ITC under section 17.2, read with rule 42 and 43. 11th question, where to show ITC of 21-22 claimed in 3V of 22-23. It will be shown in 6M of GSTR 9. 12th, where to show ITC of 22-23 claimed in 3V of 23-24. It will be reported in 8C and 13 of GSTR 9. 13th, RCM of 21-22 paid in 21-22 itself, but ITC of claimed in September 22. So it will be reported in 6M. 14th, RCM of 22-23 was paid in 22-23 itself, but ITC of it is claimed in September 23. It will be shown in table 13. 15th, credit notes were issued for sales return of 22-23 in August 23 and entered in GSTR 1 of August 23, where to required to be reported in GSTR 9. So two views. One is shown in table 11 of 22-23 or considered in table 4 of 23-24. 16th, invoice issued during 22-23 but reported and tax paid during next financial year 23-24 till the specified date. It will be reported in table 10 and 14. 17, sorry, 17 invoice reported in GSTR-1 22-23 had underwent upward and downward amendment after 31st of March 23. It will be reported in table 10 or 11 and 14. 18, where to show sale of capital asset. It will be shown in table 4 of GSTR-9 and 5O of 9C. 19, unbilled revenue in 9C. Sorry. An example is given in ICI guideline where it shows the rental contract for which billing is done on 20th of every month. So unbilled revenue of 21st to 31st, that will be accounted as per books of accounting principle in the March itself. So turnover has been included in 21-22 financial. When the financial of 22-23 is prepared, that will be reversed and actual invoice will be booked. So the impact in books it will nil. So there are two treatment in unbilled revenue in GST 9C. The unbilled revenue which is there at the beginning of the financial year to be added, and at the end of the year which is there, unbilled revenue has to be reduced. Question 20, unadjusted advances on services in 9C. So advances on goods tax is not applicable. Advance on services, services GST is applicable. So advances of 21-22, the tax was already been paid, and in return also it was included. So there are two treatment at the beginning of the year, which is unadjusted advances that has to be reduced, and the end of the year that has to be added because on that tax is already paid. 21, whether gross ITC or net of credit debit note to be furnished in table 6. If the registered person has disclosed gross ITC in GSTR 3B, then and the table 6, we have to see the show the gross ITC. And if the registered person has shown net ITC in table 3 in a GSTR 3B, then it has to be shown the net ITC only. 22nd question, there is a difference in 6J related to ITC of GSTR 9. Ideally, the difference in GSTR 6J should be nil because it is only a classification of ITC availed in Form 3B, which is shown in 6B to 6H. However, if there is any difference, then it has to be paid to DRC 03. 23rd, whether table 7 is also bifurcation of ITC reversed in 3B as like 6? No, where ineligible credits are found to be availed in 3B and are now accepted to be reversed. The registered person may identify whether such ineligible credit has already been utilized or remain unutilized. If it is utilized, then it has to be paid through GST 03. 24th, what is the difference in 6 and 8 table of GSTR 9 when both pertains to ITC? Table 6 is a disclosure of ITC availed by registered person in Form 3B, whereas Table 8 is a reconciliation of ITC availed in 3B with Form 2A, which is populated in Table 8A. 25th, what contains 8A of 9? Table 8A is auto-populated detail and it is non-editable. The value of supplies along with relevant natures and the amount of tax shall be populated from Table 3 and 5 of 2A. So 3 is the inward supply received from registered person, that is B2B, which includes RCM also. Table 5 is a detail of credit and debit note of B2B. For 22-23, the ITC which is populated in 8A, it includes the ITC in respect of supplies who have filed GSTR-1 till 30th of November 2023. 26 difference is coming in 8D. Ideally, the value in 8D should be positive because all the ITC which is populated may not be an eligible ITC. It would also contain an ineligible ITC and non-business credit also. However, in case the clause derives a negative value, it can happen that ITC has been availed by the taxpayer, but the corresponding invoice was not uploaded by supplier in GSTR-1. Hence, a working sheet or reconciliation must be prepared based on inward register to determine and find out the exact cause of difference. So these were the question and answer. So so long we have seen the provisions of 9 and 9C, forms, and the optional table and question and answer. So these were the questions which are frequently asked. So if you have any additional query, you can message or WhatsApp or call 750-624-2750. It's my number. or you can mail it gganeshan.k@gmail.com. Okay, thank you so much.